In this video, we'll be going over how to use ToadsTool, which is a Python program that can help edit Mario Golf ToadsTool Tour files. So first thing you want to do is get ToadsTool onto your computer. It's found on my GitHub page. You can either download the zip file or you can clone it using Git. I'll just clone it using Git because that's what I'm comfortable with. Okay, now that it's on your computer, you want to make sure that you have Python 3 installed because that's what ToadsTool is written in. So you can do that by opening your command prompt on Windows, or it's called terminal on Mac, and then type python -- version. If it says Python 3 point anything, then you should be good. If not, then you're going to have to figure out how to install Python 3 onto your machine. Okay, now that we have ToadsTool and Python ready to go, let's open up Dolphin. So make sure you have ToadsTool Tour already on your computer. What we need to do is extract the ISO's file system. ISOs are essentially just bundled DVD files, and on that DVD image, it has a file system just like your computer would. So in the file system are all the files like character models, songs, most of the data that a game uses. So to extract the file system, you can click on the game, right-click on the game, select Properties, and go to the File System tab, and then you should see a visualization of the ISO. So with Mario Golf, we got a little unlucky because the developers use an obfuscated file system, and what that means is that all the file paths are like these 3 letters long, and they're not very human friendly. Just by reading the file name, I have no idea what any of these files are. With a lot of other GameCube games, the developers actually just left in human friendly names. So like if you open up SpongeBob SquarePants Battle for Bikini Bottom, you can kind of tell what each of the files are because the file names are named appropriately. So that just means it's a little bit more challenging when reverse engineering this game because you have to really inspect the file's contents and see how they're being used in the game's code to figure out what kind of data is actually in there. So anyway, back to extracting the files. Right-click on the disk and then select Extract Entire Disk. And then you just have to choose a folder, any empty folder on your computer that you want to extract the files to. So I already have one set up here, so I'll choose it. And this just takes a few seconds to extract all the files, so we'll let it finish up here. Alright, it finished, so let's just go check and make sure everything looks good. So in the extracted directory, there are 2 top-level folders here, sys and files. The sys folder just holds some boot-related code files and like the main executable for the game. And then the files directory holds all of the meat of the game's data. So here's all the 3-letter file paths, for example. Okay, now that we have all the files extracted, we want to be able to play the extracted file system in Dolphin. So to do that, go to Config and the Paths tab. You need to add your new extracted file system as one of these game folders. So I've already added mine, and you can see it has the sys folder specifically at the end of it. So you just need to choose this sys directory right here in the extracted file system. Okay, so after you do that and you hit refresh, another ToadsTool Tour, that's hard to say, another Mario Golf entry will show up in Dolphin. And you'll see that it has a size of 0 bytes. That's how you know this is the extracted file system version of the game. So let's just boot that up and make sure the game is running successfully. Everything looks good. Alright, it looks to be functioning properly, so we extracted everything correctly. So Dolphin has the ability to play raw ISO files as well as these extracted file systems. And what's special about the extracted file systems is that I can go in and modify any of these files, and Dolphin will just load those files while the game is running. So it makes modding really easy because we don't have to rebuild the ISO and apply a patch file or something like that every time we make modifications. And so that's where ToadsTool comes in. So let's take a look at how we can use ToadsTool. ToadsTool operates with 3 separate commands. The first one is called the setup command, and what that does is it reads from the extracted file system and spits out or converts the original file formats into much more human-friendly versions. So currently, as of making this video, ToadsTool supports modifying character stats as well as ring attack, ring location data, and that's done through JSON files. So let's run the setup command in ToadsTool and see what we got. So first, make sure you're actually in the ToadsTool directory before you run it. And then to execute it, you just run python main.py -i, and then we provide the name of the directory of the extracted file system. So for me, it's this one. I'll just copy paste that in. And then we want to run the setup command. So when we run it, we'll see that it extracted a bunch of JSON files, and then we'll see a success message at the bottom. Now, by default, ToadsTool will extract all these files into a directory called work inside the ToadsTool directory. So let's go open that up and see what kind of files we have to work with. So here's the work directory. You'll see that there's some familiar names in here. It's all the different courses in the game. There's a characters directory and a core directory. The core directory just contains some of the code related files. Not too important to look at if you're just modifying data. The course directories have ring attack files in them. And then the characters directory just has the stats.json file. So let's open up the stats.json file, see what's in there, and make some modifications. So it's a pretty big file. I think it's like 300 lines long, but it's pretty clear what's in here. So like, for example, this is Koopa's stats, and this is Koopa star stats. We can see drives 200 yards. He has a slight draw. Pretty self-explanatory. So let's actually beef up Peach's stats by editing the numbers here. So we'll make her drive 300 yards. We'll give her a really strong slice or fade. And then we'll just give her some perfect impact, control, and spin stats. So hit save there, and then we'll look at how we can make the modifications in this file actually make its way into the gameplay. So the next ToadsTool command is called the stage command. And what the stage command does is it takes the files from the work directory, so all the JSON files, and it converts them back into the game's original format files. So it's pretty much the same command here, except it's called stage. So you see similar messages here. It just tells you which files it's staged and where it staged them to, and then we got a success message at the bottom. So you'll see that it created a stage directory by default, just like the work directory. So let's go check that out just to see what's in there. You'll notice that it looks exactly like the ISO's extracted file system. So if we look in the sys directory, we see the main.dol there, and then we can see all the 3-letter file paths in here. Now you'll only see the ones that ToadsTool knows about. So we're not, it's not generating every single file in the game. Like this one might be the ring attack data for Bloober Bay Hole 2 or something. I don't know off the top of my head. So really this directory is not too useful in terms of when you're making modifications to the game. It's just kind of there as a staging ground before we're going to copy these files into the ISO's extracted file system so that they can actually be played in Dolphin. Okay, so the last command to get those files copied over to the actual ISO directory is the apply command. And this one takes a few seconds longer to run than the others because there's a few files in the game that are compressed, and so ToadsTool is actually compressing the files, and that just takes a few seconds. So again, we got a success message, so it looks like all of the files were successfully compressed and copied to the extracted ISO file system. And what that means is we should be able to run our game, make sure we choose the 0 bytes version, and we should be able to see those modifications take place in the actual gameplay. So let's get to the character selection screen and see what Peach's stats look like now. Okay, as you can see, she can hit 300 yards, she's got a giant slice, and she has the perfect stats otherwise. And just for sanity's sake, let's load her up in game and see if we can hit the ball 300 yards. Okay, there we can see the massive slice, and yep, we can drive 297 yards right onto the green on the par 4. Not too shabby.
Nice shot.
So yeah, I hope that gave a good overview of how ToadsTool can help you modify different aspects of Mario Golf. Again, as of today, ToadsTool only supports modifying character stats and the ring attack data, but hopefully a lot more will come in the future. Thanks for watching.